Yeah, thanks, Tim.
Yeah.
I'm Catherine Harbord. I'm from the Department of Politics, and today is my 3-month anniversary of being here in Liverpool, so very, very new to kind of the university here. But the reason that Jim and Alex asked me to come today was because I've been using OERs for a while in my teaching at previous institutions. And so I'm just going to say a few words, I will keep it quite brief, about why it's good for students for you to do it and why it's also good for yourself. So we moan all the time about students, that they've got no attention, that they don't do their work, that we have to find in sort of innovative ways of getting the information across because they're not like, we were in our day. There is a lot of pedagogical research that shows, for example, the attention span of any human being, not just students, is relatively limited. And if you look at things like, Race 2010, it suggests that you change the focus of what you're doing every 10 to 15 minutes. So that's quite a short space of time. Using OER resources is a really good way of breaking up a big lecture without kind of breaking out into small groups. Maybe you haven't got a room that's suitable, maybe your class is too big. You just want to kind of capture something very quickly, sort of shake their brains up a bit and get them going again. So that's the first way that I kind of use these resources, particularly OU videos. Alex told me about iTunes U. I've started using that a bit and I'm going to use that more next term. But anything really that's kind of content that's a bit different to you standing up and talking always goes down really well, just because it is different. Especially if you can find something that's kind of the person whose textbooks they use, that also always goes down really well, particularly if they're a good speaker, but not necessarily. Sometimes students like seeing that, the big god of IR theory is in fact really, really crap when it comes to teaching. And so it kind of has a negative, positive as well. The other way that I use it is by including it, like Ruth, on Blackboard. Using it in a virtual learning environment is giving students other options to access it for themselves. Now, you might say, well, how do you know that they do it? I did some studies last year and some statistics, and I discovered that about 40% of students on the module were actually accessing the material. So what I've done instead this year is when I put the material up on Blackboard and ask them to use it to access it, I relate it to kind of a specific purpose. So they will be asked about it next week in that they will have to write a response paper to what they've seen, say, or they'll have to write a 1-minute summary. Just very kind of little things that you could definitely link into assessment as well, but little ways of kind of ensuring that they do it. You still won't get 100% of people, but it is possible to sort of embed it within the course if you're using it as an additional resource, and it works much better. That has, or at least with the one course I've been teaching this term, it's had about a 97% success rate, so that's considerably better than just leaving it to their conscience. Now that's kind of, okay, uses for students, but uses for us. What's in it for us? Like, why do we want to do this? Sounds like a lot of work. You've maybe already written all your lectures. You've got them. You just have to update them every year. Why should you go and seek out OER materials to incorporate? Well, the first reason is that paradoxically it saves you a lot of time. We're not all experts in everything we have to teach, and quite often you'll be asked to take on something or add something or cover for a colleague, something you really don't feel that confident to go ahead and do. So you can check out what's available on OER, give yourself sort of a crash course, and then use materials that have a license that enable you to adapt them in order to present that context, and it will save you hours and hours of time. Trust me, I haven't yet had to do it here, but it definitely saved my bacon last year. So first of all, I really recommend it for that point. The second point of why it is sort of so vital is that universities are changing. We had the kind of we're all screwed from David this morning. Students are going to become more and more demanding of us and more sort of focused on themselves as consumers, not consumers of education, but consumers of a service that they're paying out money for. And the more they pay, the more demanding they're going to get. Now, that's not to say we've got to do it all for them, but the more diverse you could be and the more original and the more creative, the more students are going to like you. It's not a popularity contest, teaching, but universities are looking more and more towards student assessment, student feedback on lecturers, comments on teaching, because all those things help inform the student satisfaction survey, which seems to be kind of, the holy grail of what happens within universities today. So if you're going sort of out of your way to use these things and make more things accessible to them and make them relevant to them, it's going to reflect very well on you. The final reason is, you know, for us, why it's in our interests, because it enables you to have access to quality material far more than you could find on your own in a far shorter space of time. So the University of Manchester, when you're taking over a new lecture course there, for something you never taught before, for every hour that you spend in the classroom, you get an allowance of 10 hours as kind of preparation time. If you're overhauling a course, you get 3 to 1. And if you're doing a course for the first time, just repeating something without significantly changing it, it's 1 to 1. So 1 hour of preparation to 1 hour class time within their workload model. Up until this year, the University of Bath offered you 0 preparation time if you were teaching the same course, 0 preparation time if you were overhauling your course, and 0 preparation if you were taking the course for the first time. So no allowance whatsoever for the prep time. I don't know what it is here. I haven't dreamt of asking. It probably doesn't matter too much. But by using OER, somebody has done a lot of the work for you already. A lot of this stuff is coming from very big names and it's available. And to be honest, university management pretty much wants to hire one person and get you to do the job of 10 people, minimum 10 people. By using OER, you can basically exceed their expectations and do much more than one person's job in the time you've got available. Now, we can say, well, that's not right and it shouldn't be like that and we shouldn't encourage it, but the fact is that is the situation. So I think I want to encourage all of you to make use of OER materials, but also to put your own stuff out there, because as it's a collaborative environment, people can help each other and work together and sort of make all these materials available. There is a very good resource website called Merlot, spelt like the wine. It is sort of a community of like-minded academics. People link to various resources, they put their own resources up there, and what is really brilliant about it is you can find yourself a speaker for one of your lectures who will come in and do a virtual lecture for you. A lot of people will do it for free, and if you offer to do it yourself, you might think, well, it's bad enough doing what I get paid for, but you can actually get invited to lots of very exciting universities outside the United Kingdom on somebody else's tab. So it's also kind of a free holiday. And if LJMU is like any other universities, they absolutely love their academics being invited places, and it's very prestigious. So it's very kind of career enhancing for you too. So that's really all I've got to say, but I recommend it from a student perspective and from a lecturer perspective.